Tonight's episode of the Sunday Night Talk for Week 17 is here. It's ready. Omar joins me on a special edition Monday night. We're recording this Monday night, so of course we had things to talk about, things to discuss about the Monday night and the scary injury that happened on Monday Night Football to Damar Hamlin. Talk about our thoughts about the broadcast, the way it was handled by the teams, the NFL, and thoughts moving forward as well. Second part of the show, we get into the Sunday games. Before we get to the episode, if you're new to the channel, give it a subscribe. Give my YouTube channel a subscribe so it grows. There is the Sunday Night Talk is up there. Opening Scenes, a series about opening scenes in movies, is up there, not to mention my stand-up clips as well. Speaking of stand-up, January 6th, 8 p.m., you can see me doing live stand-up. I am at the Muddy Paw, 3320 Sunset Boulevard, right here in Los Angeles. Let me know if you're coming. Going to be a lot of fun. Great lineup as well. Today on the show, like I said, we're doing this Monday night. Omar is here. We're going to talk the games. We're going to talk our thoughts on the broadcast when something horrific happens like it did on Monday night, and similarities in sports as well. So we get into that, and then we flip it the second half. We talk games. We talk awards. We talk surprises. We talk our teams went head-to-head. 49ers versus Raiders. They went into overtime. Of course, the Raiders lost. All right, don't get me emotional this early in it. This is the Sunday Night Talk for Week 17 with me and Omar. Here we go. It is Monday night, 8:45 West Coast time. Omar Carmona joins me. We're doing this on a Monday night. We couldn't do our regular Sunday night talk, so we're doing Monday night. And we did Monday Night Football. However, the lead story Monday night that we're going to start off with or lead the show with is the injury, the scary injury that happened about 5 minutes left in the first quarter. So as we record this, I still don't have any reports, anything of condition. So that being the lead story, Omar, I'm just going to run down the timeline of it. We have the Damar Hamlin injury from what looks like a very hard hit.
It was a hard hit, but also a routine hit, though, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I would say the hit is hard, but it doesn't look like anything abnormal. And in the fact that he jumps up onto his feet indicates that it's normal. And then we have the collapse. And then we have the lengthy, I think it was over an hour that we are determining if the game is going to be postponed, which it was, and then ultimately postponed to another day. And as of now, we don't know when or where it's going to happen. So I'm trying to think. Everything is totally scary. Everything is unknown. It's really scary when you can tell the announcers don't know what to say.
Yeah, and it was so gut-wrenching. God, I mean, just you don't even have to be a football fan or a sports fan just to appreciate the situation, and just heartfelt prayers to Damar Hamlin and his family. It's just a sad situation. Like, again, you do not have, this is bigger than football. It's bigger than sports. This is this is life, and it's just hoping for the best.
I'm trying to think of angles and storylines and what to talk about this. And the first thing that comes to mind is, like you said, it's bigger than football. The point where it flips in the broadcast, where you realize it's bigger than football, is when the announcers start acting as if, it was almost as if they're reporting a car accident, an earthquake, a weather tragedy, where we don't know nobody knows what's going on. We can't get reports from the sidelines, and we're just sort of going off the top. And it's really hard to disseminate information.
That and if you want to talk about from a football stadium perspective, Cincinnati, you'd agree, is one of the loudest places to play in. I mean, the fan base is out of control. You factor in that the Bills coming into town. It's a playoff preview. Seating. That's going to be a loud stadium, so it's serious when even the stadium just sounds so quiet.
Yeah.
And so that tells me that even the fans could appreciate from their vantage point, this is very serious.
Hmm. Yeah, I think the report came in that when the ambulance or when the paramedics are running onto the site with urgency that we don't usually see with regular injuries, then we know this is scary. Then we have the ambulance on there. Then we see the players' faces and reactions, and we know something is up. And then the report comes up that CPR was administered, and we think that doesn't happen with injuries. That's not normal. This is beyond, this is abnormal. And it was almost like they were reporting on like wartime stuff. And they're
Right.
like kind of like trying to figure out information. They're trying to figure out who, what, when, why, and all things like that. And it was really, really hard. I listened to some of it on the radio and some of it on TV, and no one has any information. And at some point, the story becomes like, are we postponing or are we canceling the game for now? And
Right.
at first it was postponed, give your teams some time to regroup. And then it became pretty clear that this game could not be played today anyway. And looking on it now, it was pretty obvious that was the right decision to make.
For
There's no
sure.
way
Yeah.
this game can be played until we know that he was in safe condition, which we weren't going to know at the time. And I don't think we still know at this point.
Absolutely. And again, we don't know. We have seen reports that people from his, you know, representatives of his are saying um that his vitals are back to normal, but he does need a tube for breathing, and he is asleep right now, which tells me some sort of coma or medically induced coma. But it's again just hoping for the best. They did say that there will be no press conferences tonight from the hospital. So I hope that's good news. Maybe they feel, that let's just let them stabilize and
Yeah.
uh, that's how I want to be optimistic about it.
Yeah. I read the same thing you did, and I was not so quick to substantiate it because, I mean, you just don't know information these days. I
Right.
read the
Oh,
same thing that
absolutely.
Yeah, I read the same
Mhm.
thing that vitals were back to normal in the tube. Um, I saw that Buffalo's buses had not left the stadium yet. They were still there. I saw ESPN had a report that Stephon Diggs
He
got
showed
a
up.
ride to the hospital to be there. So concern is still very, very high. And then, I mean, the scariest, it's all scary, but to add a scary detail to it, the player's mother, Damar Hamlin's mother, is there at the stadium and now is at the
Right.
hospital. I can't even imagine what's that like as a parent to go through something right there in front of your eyes. I mean, every athlete's parent has seen their player get injured and you have little scary moments. This is beyond that. So I'm trying to think of like any similarities. Have we ever experienced anything like this in the sports world? We've seen horrific injuries before.
I think in sports world we have seen it in basketball. We saw Hank Gathers. He
Right.
during the game. And we were really young when that happened. Also, when we were young, Reggie Lewis. Something he collapsed as well. And it has happened in baseball. There was that umpire that died on an opening day in Cincinnati, I think it was, or Pittsburgh, one of those. Um, and then soccer, was it a couple summer or maybe last summer, that was it a Danish player, he collapsed, and there are reports
Mhm.
that he may have died on the field, and luckily CPR was administered fast enough. So I can think of a few, but in football, what's the first thing we think of? Like, was there a head injury? It's like we're always so close to jump to
Mhm.
that. Oh my God, they ring his bell, and is this a major concussion? But this one again, it seemed like I didn't see a head. I'm sure it hurt. It looked like it was an impactful tackle, um, and more so just two forces really moving. That
Mhm.
the T Higgins was running hard, and it looked like he was right. Hamlin was running hard too. So it was definitely a fit, but it didn't seem that there was a head injury. And the
Yeah.
fact that, like you said, he got up, then went down again. Again, now we're thinking: is it a cardio issue? Is it a heart problem? You know,
Right.
so much speculation at this point.
We've entered this weird era in sports where the impacts, the hits, really don't look horrific. And sometimes those are the worst injuries. I mean, even think back to that NASCAR crash. Who was that hit the wall?
Uh,
Um,
Dale Earnhardt.
Dale Earnhardt hit the. It looks like a normal crash, but we learned the deceleration is the hardest part of these impacts, and just the injuries alone that can happen with these sports is so scary. It feels like we're rediscovering new injuries and new ways to treat injuries every single year. So I'm thinking of the similarities of it and just the scariness because it gets scary for me when the announcer's voice changes. Lisa Salters on ESPN, she's the sideline reporter. She's crying, or you could tell she had been crying. That gets scary. And just the announcers are looking for ways to, I don't know what the term is, comfort or just to put information out. It becomes really, really, really difficult. My similarities were, I mean, we had games after 9/11, which, we didn't have any uneasiness on the field, but there was a sense of uneasiness that something could happen again. We had that was a different sort of feeling when it came to sports broadcasting. Hurricane Katrina was another one I thought of. Those games after that hurricane, where the crowd had a
Yeah.
different vibe to it.
That
Where
that's a good one. I mean, because we're talking about thousands and thousands of lives. We're not talking about one particular. But it was definitely that. I remember the earthquake, the Oakland.
that's a good one. Yeah, I remember that too.
You know, that was a tough one. And obviously, when you think back, 9/11, just the feel of the games that were there was a postponement and break from all the leagues, but at some point they did start again. And as a nation, we weren't, had you even canceled games for a month, the nation wasn't ready,
Yeah.
to go forward. But it's just that same dark feeling.
Yeah, the 9/11 is something in the sense where that 9/11 happens on a Tuesday, and then we debated for a little bit if games should be played on Sunday. And I remember they took a week off, and then they came back, and the games did serve as some sort of therapeutic
Yeah,
benefit
I
because
agree, definitely.
even though there was some uneasiness to it, let's just talk. I mean, we know the right decision was made to postpone the game, but there was talk initially, just by my following the events on the broadcast, was first the referees agreed, like, give your team 5 minutes to, I don't know, warm up, regroup, and then we'll start the game. And then the decision came down to, like, we're not going to play this game today. I don't know where it came from the league, or if the coaches mutually agreed we should not play. So I think the debate of we'll see it online of, like, why did they even consider it? Like, we don't know what's going on in real time. Like, these are just, they're following protocols. Like, let's postpone it. And they're like, no, let's just not play today. So
Right.
that was the right call. Because say they had played, like, you don't know what's going on with your teammate and you got to play a game. There's no way.
Right.
I'm glad. I mean, we're going to roast the NFL no matter what, but I think the NFL, maybe the coaches, it was the right call. It's like, no, we'll reschedule this. We can reschedule games. The NFL has shown time and time again that they can reschedule the game. So I think credit needs to be given at that point to the NFL.
Right. And I think
made this
also,
decision.
again, in recent memory, I make mention of that Euro game when that Denmark player Eriksson went down. Actually, one of the leaders of that Danish team, I think he was like the leading goal scorer, actually. So it was their superstar. But I think at some point they did resume, but definitely at that moment they were pretty quick to say, no, but we're not doing this today. We'll do this, but we're not doing this today if we ever do it again.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure the talks are being all done right now of when this game can happen again. Because
Right.
it's an important
You can't even say until we have definitive anything of
right.
what's with Hamlin's health.
Right, right. Yeah, there's people in offices right now that can deal with all that stuff, and all the team and all the friends and family can be around for this. So I'm watching the broadcast, and then at some point they throw it to Scott Van Pelt in the ESPN, and this is where I don't blame announcers for this, but it is funny how we go big picture so quickly, and we go so quickly to say this is just a game. This is just a game. And it is a game, but it is important. It is jobs. It is career. People have invested a lot in it. I think they're just thinking of something to say. They're like, football is the last thing on our minds. Booger McFarland says, football's we don't even care about the number one seed anymore, which we don't, but we will at some point,
Right.
so the fact to diminish what everyone has put hard work into, I think is a point that's been made 100 times over. So you both can be important is what I'm saying. Like your game, your profession, your efforts can be important, but health is first, and we'll figure out what the status is when it comes to it. It's just a scary, scary Monday night, and it happened so early in the game that this was the only storyline. What did each one have a possession, and then we had the injury?
Right. Right.
Yeah. So they would have stopped the game no matter what. But imagine if this had happened in the third quarter or fourth quarter, it would have been tragic. It would have been that much more dramatic to it. So, weird Monday night, scary Monday
One
night.
thing to point out, I did appreciate the tweet. I think it was Dr. Chow, who regularly is featured on NFL injury updates for the networks. They were talking about how if there is gonna be a collapse after a hospital, then NFL field may be the next best place to have a collapse because of the medical personnel
Yeah.
and the I guess equipment technology that they have readily available at the stadium. I'm sure in this case we can say that it valuable minutes can save lives.
Yeah.
CPR saves lives.
True. Yeah. We've all heard the saying when someone passes out in a restaurant or something and someone goes, does anybody know CPR? At an NFL game, the medical professionals are there on site. The ambulance is there on site. I saw a report that by regular car from the stadium, it's 10 minutes away to the hospital. So by ambulance, cut that by half or possibly more. And there is some care in the sense that every medical professional is there. And I'm sure we're going to hear at some point how that was the difference
Right.
in this, to the fact that they were there on site to administer life-saving care in less than a minute or two tops.
I mean, and again, when it comes to CPR, breathing, again, I mean, if there's suffocation, this could be a serious brain damage, permanent effects, So thankfully, there was medical personnel on hand, or that could have even been something, worse, as hard as that is to imagine.
Yeah, there is no real silver lining at this point other than the teams come together. They agree, like, we're not playing anymore today. Let's focus on what's most important.
Right.
And I think that goes to the brotherhood of being a professional athlete in the NFL, the brotherhood of being on a team, being teammates, and sacrificing for the greater good in the sense, like, let's figure out what's going on with the health of our teammate and friend, and then we'll play this game. I think they got it. I think they got it right. I don't think there's any right answers with a tragedy like this, but I think that was the right decision.
I agree.
So let's take a break, and then let's go to the Sunday games that happened yesterday. So we'll be back. All right, coming back, we're going to talk Sunday's games, Week 17 in the NFL. If it wasn't a weird week enough with Christmas holidays, New Year's holidays,
Right.
we had a whole bunch of games Week 17, and it almost felt like Week 17, I'm calling Hangover Sunday. We saw some losses from teams that we thought should have won. Apparently some teams are back that we counted out in Week 6 through 8.
Right.
And oddly, the best game of the day was your 49ers going into overtime against my Raiders and Jared Stidham.
Yeah, that was a crazy game, but yeah, that was the game of the week. A candidate for, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a top 10 list of games. This is going to be one of them.
All right, well, let's start there because that's what I have the most notes on. Like, I'm just going to go big picture. First of all, in the middle of the week, we have the Derek Carr benching, which I'm calling the Derek Carr divorce. We essentially got divorced from Derek Carr, us and the Raiders. Carr and the Raiders are like that couple that you like, both the husband and the wife, but
Right.
ultimately they need to split. They're not good together.
So are you ready to move on?
Um, I think I was ready to move on in the middle of the season. He was not playing well, but the hard part makes it hard part is that he's such a good guy and such a good representative of leadership and being a good teammate and accountability, but he did not perform. And some of the blame goes on the Raiders defense, of course, as like this game will show. So I'm okay with it because it had to happen. I did some deep research on this. You know how many playoff games Matt Ryan has played in?
One, two.
Well, hold on. Let me make it easier for you. Do you think it's more or less than one?
That Matt Ryan
Matt
has
Ryan.
played in.
Yeah, how many has Matt Ryan played? Is it more than one? Because that's how many playoff games Derek Carr has been in, is one.
Yeah, Matt
And
Ryan has been in more than one.
Matt Ryan has been in 10 playoff games. So if you've been on a team for 8 years and you've been to one playoff game, I don't think that's a success. So that is a failure. He's had a lot of coaches, understood.
Yeah.
But to me, the Raiders this year, I don't remember a season that has been more emotional for me with the Raiders. Carr, we finally got Devontae Adams. Oh, wait, we lose to Arizona in overtime in the worst play ever. Oh, wait, we're up on Kansas City. We lose that game. Oh, we get killed by New Orleans 20-something-0. Derek Carr's crying in the press conference. Oh, we win a great game against New England. Oh, Derek Carr's benched. So to me,
Right.
the Raiders are that hot chick who gets drunk first at the party. And you're like,
Good point.
oh, this doesn't look so good anymore. This the first half hour, we had high hopes, and now it's just a mess. So very emotional season. I'm okay with it. Did you see this coming? Were you surprised about the Carr benching? Because also he's not in the team facility at all. He's like, I'm out.
No,
I'm
I
out.
felt for him because, like you said, he's always been such a great ambassador to the Raiders. I mean, he's never ever done anything that the Raiders can say, wow, that scratch their heads. He's always been a leader. He's always been accountable, and that's something so rare in this day and age. But he's held himself accountable. So it was sad, but I can also see it from a business perspective. You don't want him tearing his ACL, in a meaningless game where you can't trade him later. So from a business perspective, and probably, let's be very real, this is only a business decision when, decisions like this are made at this point.
Yeah. You cannot forget that the greater good is the team and the business is first. So, well, think of it from both parties. If the Raiders have an asset in Derek Carr, you don't want him risking any health in the last two meaningless games. If you're Derek Carr and you have trade value, you don't want to get hurt in the last two meaningless games. So, and then I was hearing a report that Derek Carr signed a contract a couple years ago, and it's one of the weirdest contracts where if Derek Carr leaves, both him and the Raiders benefit. If Derek Carr stays, both him and the Raiders benefit. So it seems like the Raiders will explore options into trades, and whatever they agree on will be beneficial to everybody. It's going to be sad to see the guy go. I never seen so much mutual outpouring of support for him as well from like Raider Nation. Everybody loves this guy. No one gives any hate his way. It's weird, even though this has been an underperforming season.
How did you think about Devontae Adams? You think this is going to affect his future with the team?
Yeah, that's a good question too. In an era where everything is a 1-year contract potential, Odell Beckham Jr., Devontae possibly, Baker Mayfield is on a second team in 1 year. I think it affects it for sure because whoever comes in, that can be his decision, whether it's Stidham or somebody else, which he look like pretty good with Stidham.
Yeah, you want to give him you hope that he follows that up this Sunday with a good performance.
Yeah. Oh, before we get to Stidham and the Sunday performance, let's just go over the Raiders and if they have been average, subpar, or above par. I'm just going to ask you and you answer. Derek Carr, just this year.
He's been subpar just this year.
Subpar, I agree. Jacobs.
Oh, under. I mean, under par is better, right? But
Oh,
yeah,
right. Yeah, I gave a bad analogy. He was above average.
he's been superb. He's overperformed.
hmm Hunter Renfro
Underperformed.
underperformed. Some of that was injury, but it was underperformed. I would say Darren Waller underperformed, but he misses 8 games every year, so maybe
injury.
he did average.
Right. But then when he was there, he was a threat. So
Right. So maybe that's a push. Defense.
altogether, underperformed, but that's a big but. Offense left them in a lot of bad situations too.
Yeah, I agree. Although being up 20-3, I would say defense should be able to hold that lead. Being up 10 in the fourth quarter should hold that lead.
Okay,
so
yeah.
I'm going to say the defense.
Look at you attacking the Raiders D.
They didn't play well. I do watch that Arizona game. They couldn't get a stop. Couldn't get a stop on anybody. So the team is just underperformed all year long. So let's get to the game. I didn't know the Niners had the number one defense in the league.
That defense right now, they may reach historical levels if they can keep this core together.
Although Stidham comes in first ever start.
I know, and then
he puts 300 plus yards on him.
The best offensive performance against this defense all year. So
yeah,
I don't know. You guys have to be excited about Stidham after one performance. I mean, kind of like that. I mean, obviously the Niners are very different because we're playing. Purdy took over a team that was headed to the playoffs, or at least making a run at the time. I think the Niners have won 9 straight now, which is, but we're after one start, we were very giddy with Purdy, so I can see the Raiders being kind of excited about Stidham.
Yeah. Purdy gets to have his come from 10 behind comeback, so it was a good test for him in the offense. The thing with Stidham, right off the bat, I think everybody liked him because number one, he's got the good quarterback hair. He's got this thick hair that pokes out the back of his helmet. And then this was kind of interesting. The broadcast didn't really go back to this. They do a shot of Stidham's wife in the stands, and Stidham is like with a bunch of her girlfriends in like the luxury box, all 10s. They're all 10s having a good time in the luxury box. And I'm like, oh, here we go. Here's our secondary storyline. We can keep cutting back to Stidham's wife press box and see them dancing around and congratulating each other, looking all hot. They never go back. They never go back to it. And this is what pissed me off. I watched the Thursday game, Tennessee-Dallas. That quarterback for Tennessee, his parents are in the stands. His parents look scared to death. His parents look frozen. They went to them 20 times. It was horrendous. I was like, stop showing this poor guy's parents. They don't know they're on camera. They look cold. And yet we can't go to Stidham's hot gal pals.
What was that quarterback's name again?
No, I forgot. I don't know. The guy had a few good throws. His poor parents have to watch him lose a game. And yet we can't go to Stidham's.
Oh, it was the Titans quarterback, right?
Yeah, it was Titans quarterback. He went to Tennessee. He's been on a few practice teams and stuff, but Dobbs.
There you go. Dobbs, yeah.
Like, why can't we go to Stidham's hot wife? I mean, it's indoors. They're not wearing jackets. They're probably not even watching the game. So mess up there. Mark Sanchez called the game too, by the way.
Yeah.
And I am becoming more enjoyable. I enjoy every Mark Sanchez broadcast. At one point, he's trying to coin his own phrases. Well, like Devontae Adams does the thing where he puts his hand up to get him to throw the ball. And Mark Sanchez goes, it's like putting the hand up on your mailbox. And you're like, check the mail. Yeah. Like, all right, Mark Sanchez. I like it.
Crazy thing about this weekend, I didn't watch much football because I think I told you this weekend is my anniversary weekend. I spent the weekend in Santa Fe, but I was getting text messages about and tweets being sent about Mark Sanchez's performance and a lot of positive feedback. And I think one thing about Sanchez is Sanchez doesn't take himself so seriously. He's okay with laughing at himself, and I think that's where Tony Romo has he's excelled. He's just a
Yeah.
guy. He's just being a guy, a very smart guy and knowledgeable guy because he knows the game like no one else. Um, but I think that helps a lot. Just the personality. Just want to be a guy you can connect to the viewer.
Yeah. If Buck and Aikman are the upperclassmen who are, by the book, broadcaster, traditional, the Sanchez's, the Romos, even Greg Olson's, are a little bit more of a hang. And I credit the Manning cast to this. People just want to hang.
Yeah.
They also don't want to be condescended to. And I think that's the new generation of announcers. Like, we're just going to hang. Like, this is going to be our podcast. And we're just going to happen to be watching a game while we do this. Sanchez also did the thing where, like, well, the Raiders are up 10 in the second half of a game, and they've lost 8 games in the season being up 10. So if I'm the Niners, I got to be thinking, I got them right where we want them, So kudos to Mark Sanchez. Were you ever scared in that game that you were going to lose?
Yes, I was. I thought there was the Raiders just were playing very well, and Stidham was answering the bell every single time.
Yeah.
He was.
They didn't score in the second half, but they were. I mean, they weren't all 3 and outs. But second half, I think they scored 3 points.
Yeah. So again, just coming out flat. You're the Raiders. It's been a concern all year.
Mm-hmm.
Closing
Yeah.
games, second half performances. Your second half doesn't reach the intensity of the first half.
Yeah, that's been the story all year. They take it to overtime. They win the coin toss, and Stidham gets hit, throws a pick, is how it ends. But on the flip side, like if we just talk Niners, Christian McCaffrey seems untackleable. Nobody can tackle him. You hit him, okay, 7 yards later, you're going to get him down. He is such a force on the offensive side. And Purdy, all he needs to do is get it to him 3 yards in front of the line of scrimmage, and he's off. And the other guy, Ayuk, seems like a mini Deebo Samuel. Every single pass, Ayuk is open by 3 yards, and it's a 17-yard gain. There's so many weapons on San Francisco's side. Even the pass where it's in the fourth quarter, and I don't know if you saw the shot of this, but the Niners are trying to get that. They're trying to get a score. The Raiders had to come back. There's a shot where Kittle is wide open. Purdy sees him. He gets hit, and it's a duck in the air. And who does that duck go to? Ayuk grabs it out of the air for 10 yards.
Yeah, crazy.
I just think luck is on their side this year. I just think they're finding ways to win every single situation. And their offense is so strong. This is their third quarterback. So if we're talking coach of the year, can Shanahan be coach of the year? It's like, hey, I've had 3 quarterbacks this year. How about a little credit my way?
It's not a bad argument there, but we'll see a lot of good candidates this year for coach of the year. But that being said, you're right. Things are breaking the Niners' way. Even from a Niners fan perspective, it's like, wow, we are catching some breaks.
Yeah, I would agree with that. That was the game of the day for sure. Overtime, San Francisco. I also just wish it's over now, but I wish the Bay Area rivalry when it was Oakland and San Francisco could have been a thing. I wish we could have had a Bay Area. We talked about Houston, Dallas, how they should be a rivalry. I wish San Francisco and Oakland was more of a rivalry than they were at the time. Let's go to some other games. Let's see what else was a good one here. All right, let's talk Miami at New England. Is it? I read this, and I don't even know if it's true. Is Miami officially eliminated from the playoffs?
I think they are. I think they're not going to make it. But
How long
talk about it.
I don't
Talk
believe
about
it.
a burnout. I mean,
Big.
they were talking possible AFC Championship game or better. And wow, they just that. And I was believing too. They looked really good.
We were this close from Tua MVP talk. How close were we to that?
It was very close, but miserable way to end it, man.
Not to mention now we have to talk about New England again. New England is still alive. They can't die either, apparently.
Nope.
New England's still alive. Miami's out. And, Yeah, I swear to God, I saw that headlines like Miami eliminated. I was like, no, that's one of those fake headlines. Miami's good. And I look at the record. I think they've lost a bunch in a row. They're not good. It turns out they're not good.
They're not good.
They're not
Not
good. Also, another team that started a lot of quarterbacks this year. Another game that had some significance, Indianapolis at the Giants. Indianapolis has more quarterback troubles, no secret there. But now the Giants are in the playoffs. They clinch a playoff spot.
And how great is that? I mean, we do. I've told you this before on the show. I've just NFL's very a good thing when the Giants are relevant, and it's just one of those franchises you like seeing in the postseason.
They really are. And then back to Coach of the Year talk. How about that coach? He needs to be considered. I think Dabble might be our Coach of the Year. I think that's an obvious pick, don't you think?
I agree with you. I'm not going to disagree.
He resurrected Danny Dimes.
I agree with you 100%.
Danny Dimes has been good. Running has been good. Like the Giants are in my category of put it in with Detroit of like, these are my fun teams. Yeah. These are who I want to root for in the playoffs to go long. Speaking of fun teams, all right, let's go Detroit because Detroit beat the hell out of the Bears 41-10. Has there been a game where Detroit doesn't score over 34 points?
Oh, they seem to get in, and I'm so they're an exciting team. I think again they're on the up and up, and now even though I think they been eliminated too.
Detroit, no,
yeah, they're still in,
no. I think that brings me to my next point. Detroit Green Bay next week is flexed to the Sunday night game. And when's the last time Detroit played Green Bay at the end of the year and it was meaningful for both teams?
Okay, but I got to get confirmation. Are we sure that Detroit's still in?
Yeah, they're still in. Well, you look it up because it means something to each team Sunday night.
Yeah, for sure. If the Packers win, they're in, right?
Packers control their destiny. If they win, by the way, we buried the Packers 6 weeks ago. The Packers are like, oh, guess what? Guess who's in the back door, boys?
We did bury them.
Aaron Rodgers, who's the other quarterback I had this on? Tom Brady. Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady are just telling America, don't let us in, guys. Don't let us in. You let us in, we're going to mess up your season. This is your fault. We're in the playoffs now, and you guys had the chance. Guess who's in? Aaron Rodgers has a big smile on his face. Tom Brady has a big smile on his face. They're like, hey, we're in the playoffs. You thought you got rid of us, but you did not. We're in. So Detroit Packers next Sunday.
And you are correct. You are correct. The Lions, they need help. I think they have to win, and then I think they need the Seahawks to lose.
Okay, yeah. So by the time that game is played, we may know if Detroit has a reason to play or not. Which brings me to my next point, because the NFL, you probably noticed this, did not have the schedule up for next week. They were like, we don't know what teams are going where next week because we want to see how it goes. Don't you think if a team needs help, they should schedule the games so that the team isn't eliminated by another team at the time that they play the game? You know, like they should not have that game meaningless. So or maybe have the games being played at the same time.
Yeah, I think you at least shoot for that same time.
Yeah, just play like the NFL. Who cares? Just play all the games at noon. Who cares? And then that way everybody plays, and then they'll find out the scores. They'll see what's going on. So I agree. So I am legitimately excited for Lions Packers. Is it in Green Bay or Detroit? I don't know. I'm hoping it's in Detroit. Give them a little advantage.
I'm with you. I don't know. Excuse me. I'll check right now. But it is going to be a nice something to watch.
Yeah, I love it. I love that Aaron Rodgers cannot die, and that the Lions are somehow back in this league, and they score about 35 points a game.
Yep.
Okay, here's my next point of the game. What the hell happened to Philly? Do we know what's going on with them? They went from undefeated talk to they might just lose one game all year.
I don't think they're that good. And I've said that. I mean, they've played great. I'm not saying they haven't, but they're not as invincible,
Definitely not.
So I don't think it'd be I don't expect a Philly sweep to the Super Bowl. I don't think they're the odds-on favorite as they were looking earlier in the year.
Now the division is up for grabs. They might not win the division.
They may not win the division.
They're stumbling. Dallas is red hot again.
Right.
What's up with Jalen Hurts? Do we know if he's coming back? Is it still Minshew mania still? Because Philly looks like they took a knockdown, and they've been using the next 2 rounds to get their feet back under them. I'm not scared of Philly anymore. Are you?
No, not at all.
If you met Philly, if your Niners met Philly in the divisional round,
I like my defense's chances against them.
yeah, definitely all the way. So Philly's a big concern. I don't know if it's panic time yet, but if they don't win the division and they're like a road team in the divisional round, I'm scared for them. This might be one of those collapses where like, God, weren't we 11-0? Weren't we 12-0? How do we lose in the first round? Like that could happen. I don't see them getting on fire again. Do you?
No, I don't. I'm just gonna say it. I don't.
Me neither. And if I'm Dallas, I'm feeling pretty good about myself. I got Carolina at Tampa Bay. Another one where Tom Brady, don't let him in because I have a feeling he's going to ruin your team's playoffs run if you let Tom Brady in. So he's in. They beat Carolina. They're officially eliminated 30-24. I still don't know what to make of this Buccaneers team. Somehow I think they're terrible, yet, well, their record shows that they're not great, but it's good enough to win the division.
At the same time, you don't really want to play them either.
I don't either. They're the opposite of Philly. Bad record. I'm scared to death of them.
Yeah, I'm with you on that too.
Yeah. Like Brady to Mike Evans is all of a sudden a real threat. You see Brady loading up to throw it deep. You're like, he's open. I'm telling you, he's not in the screen yet. I'm telling you, he's open. And I still don't know who the coach of the Buccaneers is. I have no idea. I don't want to know.
Okay.
Keep it a mystery. Speaking of things I don't want to know. Did you know Denver played Kansas City this weekend?
And that was a great game.
It was 24-27.
Yeah, I saw the highlights of that, and then Russell Wilson played it. Russell was cooking. Was
he? I mean, I have no idea. I didn't even know this game happened.
His stat line looked good. I didn't see it, but the stats look good, and you know they were in it till the end. So good game.
Yeah. Well, somehow Denver scored 24 points on Kansas City at Kansas City, so that's something. I have a feeling Kansas City is on cruise control, but in this day and age of NFL, any bad team that gets points on you, like other teams think that's blood in the water. They're like, oh, you did this? Guess what? Okay, we're gonna go off of that. We're gonna study up that happened. What about Arizona, Atlanta? I had that as my least watchable game of the day. even though Atlanta's kind of fun, but Arizona's been such a mess.
Such a mess. Such a dumpster fire of a team. So no, not a lot to. Both teams have a lot of questions heading into the off season. So hopefully this next weekend, both teams just stay healthy and get off the field.
Is Atlanta out for sure? No chance of Atlanta getting in and having a.
They are for sure eliminated.
Oh, they are? Okay, never mind. I was hoping they could be like the you know how the NFL puts the worst playoff game on that early Saturday game?
Right.
I was hoping that might be Atlanta. But Cleveland, Washington, I have Washington loses. They're eliminated.
How'd you feel about Ron Rivera not really knowing whether or not his team could be eliminated?
Not only not knowing, but making the judgment to start Wentz. haven't we seen enough on Wentz? Heineke won you games this year. Like, this Wentz guy, I think he's got a little something left in the tank. Are you crazy, Ron Rivera?
I'm with you. I that's just a real head scratcher decision. I don't think Heineke did anything bad to warrant him losing that job. Really, I think he put them in good positions. He just managed the game, and he proved that. And Wentz proved that he can't manage a game. Yeah. So
I don't care what Heineke did. He could be the leader of the Aryan nation. I'd be like, well, we're not putting in Wentz. Keep Heineke in there. He's not such a bad guy.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then Ron Rivera's like, we're out of the playoffs. Ron Rivera is one of those dudes who looks smart, but he might not be smart.
May not be. May not be. Real
How
head
do you
scratch.
know you're not in the playoffs? You're the head coach of a major organization. You're like, we're out? Oh, I didn't know that. Ron, that statement alone is, do you remember when you were a kid and your parent would study, like you had a test, and your parent would study with you the night before, and you still did bad on the test, and then your parent went, I don't get it. What happened? We
Right.
went over this. We went over this. Tell me what you did on that test. That's what I feel like with Ron Rivera. Like, don't you
I'm,
know what's going on here, Ron Rivera?
I'm with you on that. And again, real head scratcher, but again, another team they're officially eliminated too. So a lot of changes have to be made, especially in the quarterback position.
What happened, Ron Rivera? We went over geometry all night. My next game, Jacksonville at Houston. Jacksonville is my third favorite team, or my third favorite fun team. Jacksonville, Houston's in full tank mode. Jacksonville's gelling. I could get on board with Jacksonville and Trevor Lawrence, couldn't you? They're young. They got a good coach. Trevor Lawrence can put the ball in. He's mini Justin Herbert. Trevor Lawrence. He can put that ball anywhere.
I'm with you.
I don't think they're going to win a playoff game, though.
No, but you wouldn't be shocked either if they did.
Yeah, I could see them taking say they got Kansas City in the first round or something. I could see them taking Kansas City into the fourth quarter. They're that kind of team.
Okay.
So other fun. Those are my fun teams: Detroit, Jacksonville, and who was my other one? Giants. I think it was Giants. Those are my fun teams. Like my Raiders are out. Now I got to choose a new team for the playoffs. I'm between those three. Jets are eliminated. They played Seattle. They lost 6-23. You know you're a bad
big question there. Does Zach Wilson keep his job?
Yeah, Jets are another one started off good. They've started 3 quarterbacks this year. Maybe 4, actually. I forgot about Flacco.
Has not been good.
It's not been good. That being said, I wouldn't mind either of these teams making the playoffs. Seattle and Jets are little fun teams. Maybe more so Seattle, but I'd like to see them. I think the Jets are eliminated, though.
We haven't talked about the Rams. How about that blowout? I mean, just wasn't a competitive game, and the worst loss total, I think, for a defending Super Bowl champion in history. So you want to talk about a fall from grace? That's the LA Rams.
Does it seem like we haven't been talking about them as much as we should?
It seems like they've luckily kind of flown under the radar. Like it's like they've been given a pass, but this is historically bad, to follow up from a Super Bowl. So not impressed.
Weren't you guys the best team in the league last year, 12 months ago?
Right.
LA Rams at LA Chargers. And I just wrote down, I don't know who the home team is here.
Yeah.
Battle of LA, 31-10. Is Justin Hebert an MVP candidate? Can we throw him in there?
I don't think so. But look out for him next year.
Who are our MVP candidates? Mahomes is a perennial favorite.
Jalen's going to get some consideration. Mahomes is going to be a top vote getter as well. Maybe Josh Allen is going to be up there. It's going to be business as usual, I think, in the top vote getters of the MVP race. You will not find Brady. You will not find Aaron Rodgers.
Right. No, they're not going to be in there. Throw in Kirk Cousins. Oh, no, wait. He got killed by Green Bay.
Right.
Oh, no, we forgot Kirk Cousins can't play an afternoon game. So Minnesota at Green Bay.
Then you got guys like Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. I'm not saying they're, but they were consistent all year and just put up some monster numbers.
Yeah. Yeah, it always goes to quarterbacks, but a receiver could get in there. We got one more week to go. I don't know who that receiver is, but Justin Jefferson could be. That loss was bad though. That Green Bay loss was bad.
Are there any running backs that you saw? I mean, Eckler, I think, had a good year.
Hmm.
It just seems
Jacobs is leading the NFL in yards,
it's
but on a
Jacobs,
bad team.
but it kind of seems too that that position. So when we were growing up, they had those bell cow running backs, but now with the amount of I guess punishment their bodies go through, teams have to really deploy three running backs at all times.
Yeah.
So I think that takes away from those monster three touchdown games that we used to see. The Curtis Martins, the LaDainian Tomlinsons,
Hmm.
uh, Emmett Smith and all that. I think that's what happens with the way the game is changed.
Yeah, it really has because it used to be quarterback one, running back two, receiver three. And now it seems quarterback, receiver, and running back is somewhere tied with like defensive
Tight
end.
end. Yeah, tight end, yeah.
Tight end, yeah. Or slot receiver. Because it used to be every offseason leading into the season, some running back was holding out. And
Yeah.
they're like, no, I deserve this money, blah, blah, blah. And now Zeke a couple years ago. And now we know, like, no, we need to split you with Pollard. We
Hey,
paid.
but speaking of running backs, Christian McCaffrey, how great did he look to close out the Raiders too?
Yeah.
But it isn't. But even as a as a Niners fan, it's like I still always hold my breath when he touches the ball. I love it when he touches the ball. It's just I hate the feeling because I'm concerned about a knee or a leg injury or
Oh, are
some.
you like that? Yeah.
Oh, I hate it when he gets the ball.
You know what is my only Raider conspiracy that I came out with that game from? There was a play where the 49 they throw the ball to Renfro in the flat, and it's one of the more horrific face masks calls that you've seen. The 49er guy grabs the face mask, it gets totally twisted, and he gets the penalty and all. But I think we should have a death penalty face mask call where if it's bad and you twist it where like the head gets turned all the way around, you should get the ball in the one. I would go with that one, because it's
Okay.
like it's too much. Like this is so dangerous, and it seems like you can avoid that. Like the helmet to helmet, that's in the nature of the game. Holding, that's in the nature of the game. Pass interference, face mask seems completely avoidable, and it seems anything but intentional.
I got a question. Did you see that play in the Giants Colts game where the linebacker for the Giants had a clear shot at Foles, and Foles looked like he was throwing it, but instead he pumped it, and so he kept it down. The linebacker didn't see the ball, assumed the ball was gone, so he held back
Oh,
and did not hit Nick Foles, only to turn around and see that Nick Foles still has the ball. And that's what football has become. This poor linebacker thought he was gonna get a flag, so he let up.
what was that play a few years ago? Maybe 10 at this point, where someone wraps up the quarterback and they think they're going to blow the whistle and he lets his
Yes.
arms up. What was that play? A few years, was that an Eli play?
And it was also a big play, was it not? Like I want to
Yeah.
say that it was the game was on the line or something like that. And
Yeah.
and I have to I'll look I'll that's
Yeah,
where
what was that play? Like I think quarterbacks are getting smart too, where they're going to pretend the ball they've thrown the ball, but they've got it hidden behind them so that linebackers and defensive players will think, "Oh, I can't hit him because he threw the ball." But yet they're just faking a throw, kind of like a fake handoff. I'm thinking quarterbacks are going to start playing the game. I'm really surprised quarterbacks have not implemented the fake slide to the same degree yet. Because,
right.
You start setting up for the slide and everybody backs off 3 yards before you do it. When quarterbacks start faking the slide, we're going to have a rule change. We're going to have like a illegal slide 15 yards. You can't fake a slide. So it's going to happen. Foles got away with one.
He did.
We covered all the games, but now we get to Sunday night, which I was excited about. Pittsburgh is in the playoff run. Baltimore is making a playoff run, although they still look bad.
Cody Pickett is he the next Roethlisberger?
Pickett.
Are you excited?
Coming off beating my Raiders Christmas Eve, and now he beats Baltimore. He throws a good ball, according to Chris Collinsworth. He's an all-pro. But he played really well.
Speaking of, Collinsworth looked older to me this weekend. I don't know. I did catch the game.
Wow.
back in the hotel room. And then I noticed Steve Young looks a little older. That's kind of crazy to me that these guys are pretty much the same age, and Young lasted longer in the league. I think Collinsworth's a little older, but
Yeah.
but God, they both look like they've aged.
Steve Young always looked old to me, though, don't you think? He had like an old look. Also, you know what doesn't help Steve Young is his hair. Steve Young has the oddest head of hair I've ever seen.
It's like the straightest, curliest head of hair you've ever seen. It's like
Yeah.
stringy, curly. Yeah,
I can't believe nobody at ESPN, no makeup department, no hair department, has figured out how to tame that hair. It's always big on the sides, flat on the top. Maybe he like wears a hat until they say, okay, we're going in 3, 2, 1, and then he pulls off the hat and it's all messed up. How can we not figure out Steve Young's hair? I don't get this.
but yeah, crazy.
I think that adds to his odd look. I wrote Collinsworth loves Pickett. He said, whoa. Pickett had a pass, and Collinsworth just went, whoa.
Yeah.
It was that 4th down pass, and he just goes, whoa. So, pretty fun night game. I don't know if you caught Lamar Jackson on the sideline because he's not playing, but he looks like he's in the witness protection plan.
Yeah, that's a team that I think the Ravens. I don't expect much from them in the playoffs.
That's another team I'm not scared of at all. Lamar had on a beanie, Oakley sunglasses, and like a balaclava. Like no piece of skin was showing from Lamar. I wanted to dress up like him on the show and see if you would mistake me for Lamar Jackson on the show. And then this is my last point, Sunday Night Football, when they do the commercials for upcoming shows. Are we seriously bringing back Night Court? Are we just going to go back in time and bring back every single show from the 80s beyond? Let's just bring back Night Court. And then
I was a big fan.
Yeah, we all like the original, but do we need to see new actors in Night Court? Did we run out of ideas to write shows?
Right.
I don't want to watch that. And then lastly, NBC has golf coming up in the next few weeks. What song would you guess they're playing during the promo? What song from the 80s would you guess they're playing in the promo to hype up their golf?
I don't know. I'm going to guess Danger Zone, Top Gun.
That would have been better than this. They're playing Billy Squier, Stroke Me. What's going on, NBC?
What is going on with that call?
That wasn't a good song in the 80s.
Jeez, yeah.
That was great. That was the Sunday that was in the NFL, week 17. As usual, plenty of stuff going on. It was nuts. We still don't understand what the hell's going on half the time. Oh, I have something to play for you before we go to the awards. I love the Sunday night broadcast. So, and I become more and more in love with the halftime promo where Tony Dungy and Jason Garrett tell us what's coming up.
Right.
I'm going to play you their promo for you. This is just audio. Here we go.
Tony Jason coming up on the 2 at halftime.
Patriots huge win over Miami. The Packers winning in. Are you kidding me?
We're not kidding. Mike, back to you.
No.
That was a little awkward.
That was a little stiff, don't you think?
Very awkward.
The Packers winning in. Are you kidding me? So I thought you and I should try and do that exact promo. Let's see if we can do it better. Do you want to hear it again?
Let's do it again.
Okay, let's go again.
Who am I going to be?
Now let's decide.
Tony Jason coming up on the 2 at halftime.
Patriots huge win over Miami. The Packers winning in. Are you kidding me?
So you can either be Tony Dungy and what was that? Patriots huge win over the Dolphins?
Huge win in Miami.
Huge win in Miami. Is that what he said?
Yeah.
In Miami. Or you can be Jason Garrett, Packers winning in. Are you kidding me?
I'll do Sims. I mean, sorry, Jason Garrett.
You want to do Garrett? Okay, well, let's hear it one more time. I want to get the Dungy one right.
Kidding. Mike, back to you.
No.
Let's hear it from the beginning.
Tony Jason coming up on the 2 at halftime.
Patriots huge win over Miami.
Okay, Patriots huge win over Miami. Let me write that down. Now the Garrett.
The Packers winning in. Are you kidding me?
We're not kidding. Mike, back to you.
No.
Why do I get such a kick out of that?
The Packers winning in. Are you kidding me? Yeah.
Okay, so you're gonna be Garrett. I'm gonna be Tony Dungy. Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna play the first part where Maria Taylor sets us up, and then I'll start us off. Patriots huge win over Miami. Okay, and let's really try. Let's really try and do it better.
I'm ready.
Than what they do. Okay, Patriots huge win over Miami. Here we go.
Tony Jason coming up on the 2 at halftime.
Patriots huge win over Miami.
The Packers winning in. Are you kidding me?
I think we did pretty damn good. Let's hear how it came out.
It's huge win over Miami. The Packers winning in. Are you kidding me?
We're not kidding.
You don't know how hard it is to find that audio too. I thought somebody needs to do a supercut of all their sideline, all their halftime promos, because they're comedy gold. Patriots huge win over Miami. How hard was that? All right, let's go to, what are we at? Oh, are we at the weekly challenge? Yes.
I think so.
Okay, weekly challenge for you. As you know, the college football playoff was this weekend. And then we have the championship game this next Monday, which I still don't feel fully has hit. I love the idea of college championships being on Monday, like the basketball. I don't feel like the football one really hits like the basketball one. But I was thinking about colleges. So I got a two-parter for you.
Okay.
There were 4 colleges in the playoff. I want to see if you can, how many names of NFL players you can name that went to these colleges. So let's start with TCU.
Andy Dalton, LaDainian Tomlinson. They had this guy Doxson. I think it was a Doxson.
I don't have that one.
Oh no, then I could be confusing it for Baylor. Gosh, I'm done after those guys.
Pretty hard. I looked these up. You got Andy Dalton, you got LaDainian Tomlinson, Bob Lilly for the Cowboys way back when, Larry Brown, Cowboys cornerback, Mike Renfro. I believe that was a receiver in the 70s for the Houston Oilers. All went to TCU. Tougher college. That's a mid-major. All right, now we get into Ohio State. Let me see how many NFL players you can name from Ohio State.
Ted Ginn Jr., Troy Smith. You could go the late Josh Haskins, Dwayne Haskins. I'm sorry. You could go Terrell Pryor, Maurice Claret, although controversial.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about him.
Yeah, Anthony Gonzalez was and then I think one of the Haywards I think played and both Bosa's, Andy Katzenmoyer, AJ Hawk.
Oh yeah, Katzenmoyer. I remember that guy. Big cat.
Yeah, Terry Glenn. Wow, just a lot of guys. A lot. I mean, that's just going through offense. Then defense, we talked a few linebackers there. Gamble, some great DBs. Although receiver Boston, David Boston. I mean, just a good tradition. Eddie George, Heisman winner out there.
Oh yeah, Eddie George, right? He never had a good nickname, did he? Eddie George needed a nickname.
Right. Herb Street. There you go. There's one. I don't know. I don't know about NFL players though. No, I don't know.
You know, you didn't name any that I wrote down besides the Bosas. I had Ezekiel Elliott, Justin Fields as well on there. So a bunch of players. Okay, how about Michigan? How many can you name from Michigan?
Charles Woodson. I mean, just Tom Brady, Henson, Brian Greasy, Elvis Gerbach. I'm just naming quarterbacks at this point.
Yeah.
Hart played running back there. Biaka Batuka was a running.
Oh yeah, I remember that name. Yeah.
There.
Wasn't there a Tyrone Wheatley? I don't know if he
Tyrone
was he
Wheatley.
Michigan?
Yeah, he was
I just
Michigan.
remember that name, thinking that's a cool name.
Tyrone Wheatley, Biaka Batuka. Um, yeah, just good. Anthony, I think it was A Train Thomas was a running back from there.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then receivers, man, they've had some good ones. Amani Toomer, it comes to mind. I think Denard Robinson was they used as quarterback and receiver. Just wow, just another fine tradition. A ton of good O linemen. Hutchinson.
Yep. Yeah, I was gonna say I got that one on my list. Yeah, all the ones you named, I didn't even have on my list. I had Hutchinson, Desmond Howard, Jim Harbaugh, and then surprise, Kirk Cousins went to Michigan apparently.
No, Michigan State.
Oh, is he State? Okay, never
Yeah,
mind.
he's State.
Okay, Georgia.
Herschel Walker, Garrison Hurst, played there. There was was it did AJ Green go there?
Oh yeah, I forgot about him.
AJ Green. As far as quarterbacks, I don't know many that. Matt Stafford, of course, went to
Stafford, right? Yeah, I was trying to think quarterbacks too. He was the only one I could think of.
Yeah. And yeah, I can't think of many right now. I think I'm just drawing blanks. I always think of Herschel Walker, but I'm sure they've had a ton of just big names on the defensive side too.
Yeah. Nick Chubb and Tyreek Hill were a couple other Georgia ones. Now on to the next part of the challenge. How many Heisman winners have won a Super Bowl?
Tim Brown has won a Super Bowl. Charles Woodson won a Super Bowl. My God. Heisman winners winning a Super Bowl. Jeez.
Yeah, how many Heisman winners have a Super Bowl ring?
You've really stumped me on this one.
The Heisman to NFL connection is always harder than you would think. It is really tricky, that Heisman connection.
Plunkett won a Super. I think he won the Heisman. Didn't Theismann? Did he win a Super Bowl? Ugh.
All right, what do you think? Give me a number.
I want to guess 5.
The answer is 10.
Oh, wow.
10 Heisman winners have also won a Super Bowl.
Oh, Desmond Howard, I forgot.
Here's the list. Paul Hornung for Green Bay, 1967. Mike Garrett for Kansas City, 1970. John Huarte, Kansas City, 1970. Tony Dorsett, Dallas, 1978. Marcus Allen, 1984. George Rodgers, Washington, I never heard of him, 1988. Desmond Howard, Green Bay, 1999. Charles Woodson, Green Bay, 2011. Jim Plunkett with the Raiders, 81 and 84. And finally, Roger Staubach, Dallas, 72 and 78. Right. Those are your 10 Heisman winners who have won the Super Bowl.
Oh, that's right. Tim Brown never won a Super Bowl.
Tim Brown never won a Super Bowl.
I said that. I should have known that.
Yeah, Tim Brown never won a Super Bowl. Who was the Heisman last year that's in the league that could make the playoffs? I can't remember.
Stroud. No, that was not Stroud. Stroud lost. He was also in the finals last year too.
Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry could if he wins with the Titans, he can add to that.
Yeah.
Add to that list. All right, that was the weekly challenge. That brings us to the awards for week 17. First award is the Overbearing Parent Award. I got one nominee. My nominee goes to Aaron Rodgers. If I'm the parent of Aaron Rodgers, I'm like that super annoying dad who's like, look how great my son is. You guys counted him out. Look who's back. So I'm going to be that guy. That my overbearing parent goes to Rodgers now, who is somehow controlling his own destiny next Sunday night.
I'm gonna go with one of his counterparts, Tom Brady. He's looking at his team. You can't screw this up. This may be my last ride. So look out for Tom Brady being that overbearing parent.
Also, like, what if the parents just were Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, and they look at the rest of the league like they're like kids, and they're like,
Yeah.
"I told you what was going to happen. I told you if you messed around at Grandma's house, what the punishment was going to be, and you still did it. And look who's in the playoffs, us too."
Right.
That's right. Next award, the Hot Take Award. I have two. Hot take number one: the Packers are going to win a playoff game.
Maybe.
They're gonna win one. And second hot take: Carr is gonna get traded 3 days after the Super Bowl.
I think that's. I'm gonna go. I like.
I don't know
poker.
how hot that is. People are thinking that already.
That's gonna happen.
All right, what do you got? Hot take.
No, I'm gonna go with that car one. I really like that one. That is going to happen. And two, a hot take: D'Amico Ryans. He's gonna get a head coaching job. With what he's done on the 49ers defense, he'll get a head coaching shot.
That is kind of a bummer. Like when a team has a great year, then all the coaches get dispersed the very
Right.
next year. Like they get a head coaching job. Like, it happened with the Dallas dynasty in the 90s, but I think they got 2 years out of everybody, or at least the majority of it, before
Sure.
they all got their own head coaching jobs. Next award, the Cringeworthy Award. I got one fun one for this week. I don't know if you saw it. There was a part in that Minnesota game where Justin Jefferson takes his helmet off in frustration and he's going to slam it, but he accidentally hits the referee in the shoulder.
Yeah, I saw that. That was cringeworthy.
It didn't get penalized. Like he did it, and the referee was like almost like, well, that couldn't have been a player hitting me in the shoulder with his own helmet.
I made mention of it, but I think that defensive player for the Giants letting up on Nick Foles, that's cringeworthy.
I got to rewatch that. I love
Yeah.
gaps like that. So you went with the Giants. I went Justin Jefferson hitting the ref with his helmet. That brings us to their next award, the Would You Rather Award. This one I have for you. Choose one, Omar. One and one alone. Lovie Smith, Josh McDaniels, or Kyle Kingsbury. Take that any way
Cliff
in which
Kingsbury.
you will. You hate Kingsbury. What are you talking about?
No, I'm saying you said Kyle. It's Cliff.
Oh, did I say Kyle? Sorry, Cliff
Yeah.
Kingsbury, coach of the Cardinals. Who's Kyle Kingsbury?
You're thinking of Kyler Murray, I think.
No, maybe I got it confused. I'm emotional. My Raiders lost in overtime for the 100th
It's
time this year.
McDaniel, Kingsbury, and Levy.
Lovie Smith, yeah. You said
No,
you're coaches of the 3 worst teams in the league. I throw in Jeff Saturday in there, but he's more of an interim.
I want Levy.
You want Lovey? Why?
I mean he's had success. The
Where?
he got the Bears to a Super Bowl.
He did? That was him?
Yeah, when Peyton Manning's first Super Bowl was
Okay.
Bears defense.
Okay. All right. Well, that's worthy. What about Josh McDaniels? He got the Patriots to Super Bowl.
As a coordinator.
That's true. You know the other thing with Josh McDaniels that we should have known this was a red flag? He never wears a full hat. He always wears a visor. He wears a visor. But in Pittsburgh, where it was like 6 degrees, he just wore a headband. So the top of his head was still exposed. There's something about that guy where the top of his head needs air.
Okay.
I think he might be a robot or something. Because maybe that's a Belichick thing. Like he's learned it from Belichick.
That could be it.
All right. Next award. The You've Never Seen Me Upset Award to the Tom Cruise movie that most represents this week in the NFL. I have 2 nominees. I got Days of Thunder because this week was like an action movie. I wasn't really sure what the plot was or what exactly it all means, but it was pretty fun to watch. And maybe it went long by only a couple games. And then lastly, mainly for just my Raiders, I give it War of the Worlds. I thought it was going to be so much better than what it was.
I like that. I'm gonna agree with you on that one. The Roar of the World.
Aliens, Spielberg, Cruise, big budget, and then you watch the movie and it wasn't that great. The ending was not that great.
I'm with you. I'll agree with those.
War of the Worlds, yeah. War of the Worlds for my Raiders or for the whole
And for the Raiders. For the Raiders.
What do you got for the whole of
Oh
week
no,
17?
I love that analogy. Yeah, you took the week with that one.
God, I'm in mourning. The Raiders sucked. Sucked. They're eliminated. Officially eliminated. Last award. Who won the week? I have one nominee. Early season bad teams won the week.
Yeah.
Green Bay, Detroit. Who's my other one? Jacksonville. Everybody but the Raiders, essentially.
That we were writing off. I think that's a good one. And I just think right now, good coaching won the week. The job that these guys are doing, the Dables, the Shanahans. We're just seeing some good. The fact that LaFleur could get the Packers back in the hunt. I think we're just seeing the product of good coaching all around.
Do you think that's what it is? Do you think it's the coaching has come through for these?
I think that's all it is, but I think it helps.
Yeah, like let's think about those teams. It is LaFleur, Dan Campbell. Who was the other team we're talking about? Jacksonville. Who's Jacksonville's coach? Peterson?
Yeah, Peterson. They got rid of that that Urban Meyer, and then they got Peterson, and look at him. He changing the culture there in Jacksonville.
On those three, Dan Campbell's the least accomplished, but the other ones, like, those are good coaches. Like, I really do not want to play Green Bay in the playoffs. I don't want to play them at all. Detroit, I feel like you could beat that team if you're a good team. Jacksonville, you can beat that team if you're good. I don't want to play Green Bay at all.
For sure.
They scare me. So that was the week. I had one more point. I forgot what it was. It was Raider related, so maybe blame it on my Raiders trauma of it all. Oh, this is what it was. Stidham. Is there going to be Stidham talk next year? Like,
maybe you bring him back to camp for sure.
Yeah, well, you bring him back to camp, but all of a sudden Stidham might be a hot commodity. Like, other teams might want some Stidham,
That Matt Flynn performance from a few years ago in Green Bay.
Oh yeah, that's right, Matt Flynn.
Got him a big contract somewhere else, and then I think they ended up drafting Russell Wilson, and then Russell Wilson won the job, and Flynn was never the starter in Seattle.
Right. Oh, you know what with the Raiders? I don't know why I do this to myself. I went back and I rewatched the Bengals Raiders playoff game from last year in the wild card. Raiders. It's like the Raiders want to lose.
Yeah.
Not every single, like, there are so many plays where Derek Carr can't get the offense can't get the play into the huddle, and they break the huddle with like 5 seconds. This happened like 8 times in the game. There's penalties. Derek Carr does the patent Derek Carr strip sack in the game, of course.
Right.
Delay games. And the last drive where the Raiders could still win this game. They're down 5. Here's their last sequence. They throw the ball. They get a 1st and goal. And there's like 40 seconds left. And they spike it. So now they lost it down. 40 seconds left. Their first play goes nowhere. Second play goes nowhere. It's 4th down. And what do you think the pass is on 4th down, Omar? It's a pass to a receiver on the 1-yard line.
Right.
Not even in the end zone. Not even in the end zone. I don't know what's going on. And then lastly, I don't know why I forced myself to watch that game. What's wrong with me?
Yeah, bad call.
Why do I put myself through this? God, War of the Worlds. What's wrong with you, World War of the Worlds? Well, that was the Sunday Night Talk for week 17 in the league. Omar, that was a lot of fun.
Do it again next week.
One more week to go.
Yep.
We're going to go Sunday night after Detroit Packers. I have a feeling we're going to have so much to discuss.
Yeah, that'll be a big one.
For Omar Carmona and me, Patrick Ramirez, Happy New Year, and we'll see you next week, everyone. That is it. That is the show. That is week 17 on the Sunday Night Talk. Omar Carmona is very excited about his 49ers yet. He won't say it. That's right. The NFL's heating up. One more week to go. One more week. Who's in? Who's out? We're going to find out. Don't forget, if you're new to my YouTube channel, give it a subscribe. The channel is growing slowly, and it's because of subscribers. So give it a subscribe if you listen to the show, because there's other stuff on there too. Speaking of other stuff, if you want to see me doing live stand-up comedy, I'm at the Muddy Paw right here in Los Angeles, 3320 Sunset Boulevard is the address. 8 p.m. on January 6th. Come see me do stand-up. I will be there. And let me know you're coming, too. Well, one more week to go in the NFL. It's all come down to this. Will the Packers win? Will Detroit get in? Will Jacksonville somehow get in the playoffs? And how interested are we in these Giants? Could they steal the whole thing? I don't know. Well, we got 1 week to find out who's in and who's out. So, thanks for listening, everybody. Thank you, Omar. We will see you next week.